Greetings, human, and welcome to my wicked lair.
And by wicked, I mean informative, and by lair, I mean PowerPoint presentation. Today, I'm going to be delving into the hair-raising, blood-curdling, scream-inducing genre that is Gothic horror. More specifically, my focus will be drawn to Bram Stoker's infamous Dracula. No, not him. This guy. Lily Amipour's wonderful film, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, whilst referring to some readings from the introductory chapter, Negative Aesthetics, in Fred Bodding's book simply titled Gothic. So please, proceed at your own peril, and we shall see if you make it out of my lair. Awake. Gothic texts first appeared around the middle of the 18th century, at a time when Enlightenment ruled and everyone was hell-bent on doing the Lord's work. Traditionally set in the Dark or Middle Ages, it breeds a sense of familiarity whilst exploring civilization's fear of the mysterious and unknown. The genre's main purpose is to produce often extreme and negative emotions like fear, anxiety, terror, and disgust, whilst also engaging with the viewer's natural curiosity. Gothic narratives adapted unique tropes and characteristics that would help shape the genre into one of the most written about and recreated texts for centuries to come. A superficial perspective of these characteristics includes superstitious beliefs, dilapidated castles, ghosts, ghouls, demonic spirits, blood-sucking vampires, and of course, a noticeable absence of light. However, there is much more to Gothic horror than meets the eye. Like many genres, Gothic horror works in dualities, mainly focusing on the dynamic interrelation between light and dark, positive and negative, pleasure and terror. This usually involves an innocent female heroine and an older male villain. These characteristics and dualities enable the genre to work on a much deeper level and critique real-world issues like gender roles and colonialization. Fred Bodding writes that Gothic styles disturb the borders of knowing and conjure up obscure otherworldly phenomena or the dark arts. This is usually characterized by delusion, apparition, or deception. Bram Stoker's Dracula conveys these typical Gothic styles impeccably, as the story follows several brave white Western men named Jonathan Harker, Dr. Abraham Van Helsing, Arthur Holmwood, Quincy P. Morris, and Dr. John Seward, and their quest to destroy the evil vampire Count Dracula. In the name of protection and vengeance for their vulnerable female treasures, Stoker emphasizes the extraordinary lengths these men go to in order to preserve what is good against the pits of evil. From the first chapter, where Jonathan Harker is held captive in Castle Dracula, Stoker deceives and instills fear within the reader through a variety of Gothic techniques. The description and location of the dilapidated castle stimulates a feeling of melancholic gloom and isolation, whilst Jonathan's experiences of imprisonment further drive a sense of fear and anxiety. As Stoker's narrative continues, it's evident that the story becomes much more than just a vampire and his quest for human blood. It becomes a battle between the forces of good and evil, light versus dark, the good old-fashioned Western colonialism against the savages to the east. Well, yeah, you get the picture. When the pure and innocent Lucy is punctured by the Count, we are shown the first instance of a battle between true good and evil. With the young virgin's blood tainted by the monstrous vampire, the men do their best to save her, and even resort to blood transfusions. However, it was too late for young Lucy, who eventually transformed into a vampire and was suddenly described as a voluptuous wilderness. In order to restore her innocence, the good brave men did what was necessary and cut off her head, but that was okay because they prayed and cutting off heads is fine if the Lord says so. As the novel progresses, Mina Harker, best friend to Lucy and Jonathan Harker's wife, attains the role as the novel's female heroine. She is portrayed as beautiful and incredibly intelligent, and is even said to have had a man's brain. To quote Dr. Abraham Van Helsing to Mina, "There are darknesses in life, and there are lights. You are one of the light of all lights. Lights, 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 lights." Stoker doesn't hide this interplay between light versus darkness. Characters, especially Van Helsing, are often given lengthy monologue speeches where they pontificate their struggle to overcome the darkness and evil that is Count Dracula. Furthermore, a discomforting scene takes place where the Count appears to be breastfeeding Mina, forcing her to drink his blood. This perverted act of contamination bores deep into the insecurities of every Western white male who fears their property being swept away by a suave Eastern European man. Dracula is in every way, shape and form a pure Gothic horror text. Dilapidated castle? Check. Blood-sucking vampires? Check. Distinct battle between light and dark, good versus evil? Oh, you better believe that's a check. The beauty of Gothic horror is that it can contain all these incredible tropes and yet still speak subtly to contentious subjects like colonialization and subordination of female sexuality. This makes a nice segue to my next point of focus. Lily Amipour's A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, a brilliant pastiche film that pays homage to the previous adaptations of the vampire whilst incorporating its own unique and brilliant features. Filmed entirely in black and white, the film takes the dichotomy to a literal sense, however, transgresses and reshapes all past preconceptions of not only the vampire but the entire Gothic horror genre. The film first focuses on a young man named Arash, who lives in a grungy Iranian town named Bad City. It follows his struggles against a dangerous pimp and his drug-dependent father, until Amipour then subtly introduces the girl, who is revealed to be a vampire wearing full chador and also rides a skateboard and enjoys pop music. Although she is a vampire, the girl walks the streets at night on her own vendetta to protect vulnerable women from aggressive men. Arash meets the girl whilst high on ecstasy and dresses the original Dracula. The film then seems to blur the lines even further between Gothic and a type of dark romanticism, along with several other subgenres. The girl shows signs of affection towards the boy, even letting him pierce her ears, a symbol of trust as vampires are usually the ones to puncture. This is just one of the many examples where Amipour ignores the traditional Gothic horror devices and places her own exclusive flavour to the genre. It's films like this that enable the longevity to Gothic horror. Fred Botting wrote that while with genre, familiarity and repetition are necessary, too much repetition breeds over-familiarity. This comfortability within the genre diminishes its capacity to cross borders or produce a feeling of terror or horror. This is why hybrid mixtures of style and mood like Lily Amipour's film work so well, because they feel familiar but completely foreign at the same time. Gothic horror has given birth to some of our greatest and most recreated characters and storylines for the past 400 years. It's much more than just text filled with blood splatter and jump scares. It has the ability to shake us to our very core, strangle our insecurities, and leave us thirsty for more. Not only this, the Gothic horror genre has the capability to transgress over a myriad of subgenres and mirror issues found in our everyday world. Fred Botting writes that one might lose reason and the clearly demarcated sense of self and the world it sustains, but the loss might entail the excitement of shedding the restraints of reason and being invigorated by passion. This begs me to ask the question, is Fred Botting a vampire? Tune in next week to find out.